My name is Ash, and this story isn't about me, but about what happened to my best friend, Lena. We went to a school in Manila that had this very distinct, almost overwhelming aesthetic. Everything, and I mean everything, was green. Our uniforms were green. The buildings were painted green. Even the school flags were green. It felt like we were living inside a giant emerald. The reason for all this green was that the school used to be a monastery, a home for nuns, long before it became a place for students. And like any old building with a long history, it had its fair share of rumors. People would whisper about strange occurrences, things that would only happen after the sun went down and the hallways grew quiet. Most of us just brushed them off as typical spooky stories, the kind you tell to scare freshmen. We never thought we'd experience one firsthand. One afternoon, Lena and I were some of the last people on campus. We were both dedicated students, maybe a little too dedicated, and we stayed late to put the finishing touches on a video project for one of our classes. The school was practically deserted. The usual sounds of chatter and shuffling feet were gone, replaced by a kind of heavy silence that hangs in empty buildings. We were working in one of the upstairs classrooms, surrounded by our equipment lights, a camera, and a laptop. We were nearing the end of our editing when Lena decided she needed a quick break. She said she was going to run down to the restroom on the ground floor to fix her makeup. It was a normal thing to do, something she'd done 100 times before. While she was gone, I figured I'd go get some water from the fountain down the hall. I was parched from talking and focusing for so long. I came back to our classroom, took a sip of water, and waited. A few minutes passed, then 5, then 10. Lena still wasn't back. I started to get a little antsy. I mean, how long does it take to fix your makeup? I sent her a quick text. "Hey, where are you? Everything okay?" No reply. My mind started to race a little. Was she just taking her time? Did she run into someone she knew? Or was something wrong? The empty school suddenly felt a lot bigger and a lot more intimidating. I decided I couldn't just sit there waiting. I packed up my phone and keys and headed downstairs to the restroom to check on her. The ground floor was even quieter and darker than the upstairs. The long hallway leading to the restroom was lit by just a few dim emergency lights, casting long, eerie shadows on the floor. As I got closer, I could hear a faint sound, like someone was shuffling their feet. My heart started to beat a little faster. "Lena," I called out, my voice sounding way too loud in the silence. There was no answer. I reached the entrance to the restroom and hesitated for a second. The door was slightly ajar. I pushed it open slowly. The lights inside were flickering, which wasn't unusual for our old school, but tonight it felt particularly unsettling. The room was empty. All the stall doors were closed, but I could see from the gaps at the bottom that there were no feet inside. My stomach dropped. Where could she be? Just as I was about to turn around and start a more serious search, the door to the last stall, the one furthest from the entrance, burst open. Lena flew out of it, her face completely white, her eyes wide with sheer terror. She looked like she'd seen a ghost. Before I could even ask what was wrong, she grabbed my arm in a death grip. Her hand was ice cold and trembling. She didn't say a single word. She just started pulling me, dragging me out of the restroom and back down the hallway. We ran. We didn't just walk quickly. We sprinted up the 2 flights of stairs back to our classroom, our footsteps echoing loudly in the empty stairwell. It was a frantic, panicked escape, but I had no idea what we were escaping from. When we finally crashed back into the relative safety of our classroom, I slammed the door shut and locked it. Lena collapsed into a chair, gasping for air, still shaking uncontrollably. I knelt in front of her, trying to get her to look at me. "Lena, what happened? What's wrong? You're scaring me." It took her a full minute to be able to speak. Her voice, when it came out, was just a hoarse whisper. She was staring at the wall, but her eyes were seeing something else entirely. She told me what she saw. She said she was standing in front of the large mirror over the sinks, reapplying her lipstick. The mirror was huge, and it reflected the entire row of bathroom stalls behind her. As she was blotting her lips, her eyes drifted to the reflection of the last stall, the teacher's stall. That's when she saw it. A woman was standing inside the stall, but she wasn't using it. She was just standing there, her head and shoulders visible over the top of the stall door. Lena said the woman's hair was pulled back into a tight, old-fashioned bun. She was wearing a long, dark green dress, the same color as the old nun's habits. Lena froze, lipstick still in hand, her eyes locked on the reflection. She thought maybe it was a teacher who had stayed late too, but something felt incredibly wrong. The woman was unnervingly still. Lena slowly lowered her gaze from the woman's head in the mirror down to the real stall door in front of her. She looked at the gap between the bottom of the door and the tiled floor. And there, just beneath the door, she saw a pair of old, worn-out slippers, the kind nuns used to wear. But the most terrifying part? The slippers were facing her. The woman wasn't using the toilet. She was standing in the stall, facing the door, just watching Lena in the mirror. At the time, I tried to be the rational friend. I told her she was probably just tired, that the flickering lights and the creepy, empty school were playing tricks on her mind. I suggested it was just her imagination running wild after a long day of studying. She didn't argue. She just nodded, but I could tell she didn't believe me. She was deeply, profoundly shaken. We packed up our things in complete silence and left the school as quickly as we could, not looking back. We didn't speak about it again for a few days. I think we both just wanted to forget the whole incident. About a week later, the school was holding a big event, an anniversary celebration of some kind. The main hall was decorated, and they had put up displays chronicling the school's history. Lena and I were walking through the hall with a group of our friends, looking at the old photographs and documents. We came to a section of the wall that was covered in framed portraits. These were the formal, painted portraits of the school's founders and most important figures from its past as a monastery. We were just casually glancing at them, laughing and talking, when Lena suddenly stopped dead in her tracks. She went completely silent. She was staring, once again, with that look of pure shock on her face, at one of the portraits. I followed her gaze to a painting of a stern-looking woman. She had her dark hair pulled back into a tight, severe bun. She was wearing a long, high-collared green dress. It was her. It was the exact woman Lena had described seeing in the bathroom mirror. Her face, her hair, her dress, it was all identical. I felt a cold chill run down my spine. This wasn't imagination. Underneath the portrait, a small brass plaque read her name and her title, the founder of the monastery. The dates on the plaque indicated that she had been dead for nearly 80 years. Lena and I just looked at each other. We didn't need to say anything. We both knew with absolute certainty what she had seen that night in the restroom. It was real. We turned away from the portrait and walked out of the hall. We never, ever talked about that day again. To this day, whenever I walk past an old, empty building at night, I think of Lena, the woman in the green dress and the slippers facing the wrong way. Thank you for listening. Remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this one. See you next time.